And we're live. Hi everyone, this is MH Gamer, and now we're returning to Civ 5 Vox Populi. And yes, we have a new version for VP that came out, and I'll be discussing that for this video. So, there's a reason why I went with Carthage, because I did want to show something, but we will discuss that in a moment. So first, we still have some changes regarding happiness, because after some gameplay, there are some aspects of happiness that's not very great, so there are adjustments. So first we have some minor adjustments. I don't know if I could showcase it, because I do have 5 populations, so that might be enough. Let me just make sure everything's okay. Good. So first we have minor adjustment to tech and empire percentage. So first, factors that increase needs. So basically, you see, happiness is listed. Other local happiness, we have factors that increase needs. We have is capital, technology, city size, and empire size. So first, the empire size, before it was plus 5%, now it's plus 3%. Now, this will help if you go wide, because previously there were, I guess, talks about happiness really punishing wider gameplay, wider empires, and for tall empires you have no problem with happiness, which is clearly, yes, when you go tall, happiness shouldn't be an issue. However, it feels like wide is penalized a whole lot more, so this is definitely one of the changes. And then there's also a tech. I just don't know what they mean by the tech. Minor adjustment to tech and empire percentage modifier values. Technology is plus 8%, but in the notes, it's given a value 250 to 200. Increase of this? No. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Maybe you have to be a much larger empire, because all of this is a percentage. Like science needed plus 28%, technology plus 8%. I'm not sure what that means. I will try to figure it out. And then let's see, next one. Increased potency of public works to 20%, added plus 1 happiness in city per construction. Okay, so this is a very big matter, because what happened before is that people notice that when you build public works, they don't see the impact. Like before, basically all it does is reduces the needs by 10%. That's it. And when you're going wide, you could build it and you might not even notice any difference. So right now it's a lot stronger. Not only does it give you 1 happiness, which is very strong by itself, but you're also reducing the needs by 20%. So now it's more rewarding. Of course, there is the issue where people might build it before they need it, because it's a very good building, and you gotta remember that the cost I think the cost still increase, per era. So if you build it earlier, faster, sooner, it will be cheaper and it will help you in the long run. So there still might be that issue, but I guess it's kind of hard to balance, right? Unless public works is only available when you're unhappy. I don't know, maybe they can make that happen. And then the next one, urbanization from specialists is now calculated at the end of the needs hierarchy. No longer replaces other needs, as it is the final need possible. So what that means is, so if you remember, before, when you look at local happiness, if you have urbanization, this is not a great example, but to give you an idea, before it was Well, actually, now that I think about it, it wouldn't even show up. So before is urbanization is the first one to show up, then distress, then poverty, then literacy, then boredom. Now it's changed, so it's distress, poverty, illiteracy, boredom, then urbanization. I don't know what that changes, to be honestly. I I feel like before it would hurt a tall empire more because they have to worry about happiness. So I'm thinking tall might even suffer even less unhappiness due to this. I'm not sure yet. Next one. Specialists in the city are capped by happiness. You cannot have more specialists than you have excess happiness in the city. So if you have 12 happy and 9 unhappy, you can have 3 specialists, etc. Means that non-Venice puppets can no longer run specialists. Wait. Okay, that will help warmongers because before let's say later on I declare war, I attack Vatican City and it becomes my puppet. It will generate unhappiness from we want equal rights, and also if it works specialists, that means like not only does a specialist not produce any yields, but they also create happiness. But because of this, that won't be the case. So that is rather interesting. So this will help a warmonger more, and also like what ends up happening is now for tall, like you do want more excess happiness in all of your cities if you want to work specialist. So so sometimes your choices are like you have to be more careful with your choices because like for example you have this +1 for national wonders with building requirements, which is pretty much all of them. That means you might want to spread out those national wonders so that some of your secondary cities will have the happiness to work specialists because yes, while your capital ideally you do have a lot of happiness, you also you also want your secondary cities to assist because otherwise the great people generation will slow down drastically in your capital. Like your first few will be fairly quick, but later on it will diminish and you want to maximize. Like when you go tall, you want to maximize everything because you are quite vulnerable. So so for this, it's interesting. I do like it because it means that you don't have to manage your happiness more if you want to work your specialist. Now, empire unhappiness threshold now 70 50 25. Okay. So so this is what happened before. Before, if you're above 60, you have no problem. When you're between 40 and 60, you get some penalties. And when you're below 40, then your empire is in trouble. I don't even know what happens when you go below 20, but so right now what happens is you have to be above 75, so that requires a bit more work to be happy. So expansion will be a bit more limited. And then what happens is if you are at 50% or less, your city could actually break off. Like the ones you capture might join the civ or break free independent, or they might become their own city state. So managing happiness is quite important. And then the 25%, which super happy cutoff now simply speeds up city defection and rebel spawning by 25%. Okay. I've never gotten that low, so I don't know what happens. But now at 50%, it's very dangerous. So you do have to manage. Like overexpansion, it's gonna be very costly. But that's gonna be quite interesting. And then percent modifiers on policy increase by around 5% for all policies. Wait, what? I'm a little confused. Wait, this is under happiness. Percent modifier on policies increase by roughly 5% for all policies. Isn't that part of this? Next policy. I'm a little confused. I don't think that's tied to happiness, right? I mean, there's culture needs, but it's the same as the rest, so I'm assuming that didn't change. So maybe. Yeah, I'm a little confused on that. Because my impression is that's a cost of policies. So basically what you see up here. 10%. I don't think that changed. But yeah, I mean, maybe it means if you're unhappy, it would increase how much. Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know what's going on with that. That's not very clear. Okay, next we have wonders. So we have two wonders, that Globe Theater and Uffizi. So here you see Globe Theater, one specialist in every city, not just one city, every single city generates no longer generates unhappiness. So before you have like the guilds that produces one for that city. This helps all the city, which makes this quite a bit stronger actually. And so does Uffizi, if I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know. So if you get both of those, that's like 2 extra specialists you could get. But I guess part of the issue is you need to solve your needs. So I do find it kind of conflicting, because effectively you're having urbanization that comes much later. So you might not even feel those until you solve the other needs. So it's at a weird place. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work out. Until I play, I'm not gonna be certain. But we'll see eventually. And let's see. Okay, let's look at. Okay, now the reason why I did Carthage was because the Quintrium can be built after fishing, and the naval melee ship line, some of their promotions got changed a bit. So first we have the dreadnoughts. So for the dreadnoughts, before it was you get 15, 15, 20 for a total of 50 extra HP. But now it's just, wait, what? Okay, now it's 10, 15, 15. So that's a total of 40 extra HP. So you get less overall. I mean, maybe the Dreadnought was overperforming. I don't know why that changed. Like, it doesn't feel like they were in a bad place. Honestly, they felt pretty good. I mean, if anything, Border got buffed. Like, I don't know why Dreadnought got nerfed. Like, if the boarding line got buffed, then Dreadnought should just stay the same. Because I don't think anyone's quite complaining. But the idea is this. So, before, let's see, before the movement penalty, so reducing their movement, before it was -1 for boarding party 1, -2 for boarding party 2, and -3 for boarding party 3. Now it's -2 and -4. I don't know why they say -3. I don't think there was ever a value. Like before, I think it was -1 and -2. Maybe it was -3. I don't play enough boarding because usually I just use melee ships as a front line, so my range ships can do their damage. But now it's -2 for boarding party 1 and -4 for boarding party 3. That's a lot of movement. I feel that might have been overbuffed. Like before, even the reduction of 1 or 2 movement was felt. Like Like essentially, you have to maybe abandon a ship because you just can't defend it. I don't know why it's increased. I feel this might have to be nerfed later because -4 is a lot. Let's put it this way. Later on, if you, I mean, I could probably show it here. Let's see, cruisers. Let's look at cruisers. Cruisers, they have 4 movements. -4 means they can't move. Like, -4 is way too much. I don't know what's the logic behind it. Boarding never had the issue. I think the ones that have issues are the other options. So now we have interception. Actually, interception applies to all the units. So before it was 20% plus 20% chance, and I guess eventually you'll get 80%, so it's not guaranteed. Now it's 25%. So once you get all of this, it will be guaranteed, though your ship is not gonna be that strong. And that's fine. Like, they have to be specialized. And also now there's also naval siege. I don't know if naval siege. So before it was plus 50% versus cities. Now it's plus 75%. I don't know if that 25% is gonna be noticed or not. I mean, the heal outside, I'm not quite sure. It's one of those, unless you do tests. Otherwise, it might be okay. I'm not sure. At least I haven't found. I mean, if I go down the dreadnought, if I go down the dreadnoughts, I definitely want to get Dauntless. And then after Dauntless, I mean, that's the thing. Why would I go for Naval Siege if I could go for Vanguard, right? Finish Dreadnought, go for Dauntless, which reduces 5 damage from all, and then go for Vanguard. That's 100%. I mean, yes, you can't heal outside, but also City do less damage, so cities are not going to be able to touch your naval unit. I don't know, Naval Siege is at an awkward place. I don't think that 75% is going to help it much. But maybe people go for the heal. I mean, honestly, if you could get a complete treasure fleet and get the gold, then that's probably a better option. That's just my opinion. And then Breacher here. So before, I don't think I've ever used Breacher. So the idea is that when you kill an enemy unit, all adjacent units to that unit will take 15 damage. Before it was 10. 15 is more. 15 is better. I mean, if you could do it well, you could badly wound the enemy navy with this, but you are also throwing a fairly highly promoted. I mean, I guess you could specialize some of your melee ships for this. My style doesn't demand it, because honestly, if I want to do damage, I will use boarding party. Because you could have ignore zone of control, so if I get the kill, I could still back out. Like, otherwise, with this, your ship is stuck in there, surrounded by enemies. I mean, your odds of survival is just so low. It's like, yeah, no. I mean, like, if you want to, like, personally, I feel like Dreadnought line is mostly front line, and then if possible, they will help with taking cities. But I wouldn't use them to, break opening enemy lines. I would rather go down the boarding party, because when you look at it, yeah, Blitz, you have Pincer, you have Encirclement, you have Piracy. Like, the boarding party line is better suited. And also you have Navigator, so extra sight and extra movement. That's what you use to take out enemy units. The upper part is more city and front line, just hold the line. So breacher is kind of weird. It just doesn't fit in my opinion. So and then before I go to the next one, I will skip the next one for a bit. It's not something big. So next we have improvements. So for improvements, uh, if you remember, before landmarks give +1 happiness to all cities. So right now, people say it's too powerful because you get a couple of landmarks and you won't have any issues, even for wide empires. So now instead they just give a +3 empire-wide happiness. So basically you see the empire-wide, this is settlers, so it gives 10 and then you get 3 for each of those, which might not even be felt for wide empires. So I feel like for wide empires, I mean, maybe you go for the yields, I'm not sure. So let me try something like this game was from 420. I don't know if I mean the game might crash, but I do want to kind of show it. So for the last change I'm about to discuss is freedom, which is ideology, which I didn't play that far. So the idea is that before, when you go for freedom, there's a tenet called capitalism. Yeah, I don't think my game is gonna load. So for capitalism, what it does is it actually gives you. Okay, there are two aspects to it. Let me just open the wiki. The wiki is not always updated, but some of the information are periodically improved, so it's not completely bad. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna load. So before, capitalism is like this: 3 specialists in each of your cities generate happiness instead of unhappiness, and specialists generate 1 gold. Yeah, the game crashed. I'm surprised it took that long. So, the specialists generate +1 gold. That didn't change. But right now, instead of 3 specialists,